If only he knew why the bride refused to remove her veil, he would have run before nightfall.
Listen closely, my friend. What I'm about to tell you is not ordinary. Some stories are warnings, some are lessons, and some, like this one, are both. The wedding hall was full. Candles burned. Flowers hung from every corner. People dressed in gold and white sat in long rows, clapping and smiling. Everyone was happy. Everyone except Deji. He stood at the front in his fine agbada, hands shaking beneath his sleeves. The crowd could not see the sweat on his neck or the way his breath came fast and short, because the bride would not lift her veil. She stood beside him, still as a tree in dry season, covered from head to toe in white lace so thick you could not see the shape of her face. The pastor had asked twice. The crowd laughed, thinking it was a sweet game, but Deji was not laughing. Then the bride turned her head, slowly, and faced him, without words, without warning. Her voice came from behind the veil like two people speaking at once, low and high, near and far. "Husband," she said, "did you forget what you promised?" The lights flickered. A woman in the third row screamed. "If you were standing there, would you run, or would you stay?" A young man near the back of the hall pulled out his phone. His name was Dami, a blogger with 40,000 followers and a habit of making noise. He zoomed in on the bride. He went live. "This is the biggest wedding of the season," he whispered into his phone. "And something is wrong." The comments started pouring in within seconds. People watching from their houses sat up in bed. Fingers typed fast. Some sent fire emojis. Some sent praying hands. Back inside the hall, the music had stopped. The pastor stood with his Bible pressed to his chest. He looked at the veil and looked away. Deji leaned forward. "Please," he whispered to his bride. "Not here. Not now." But she did not answer. She only turned her covered face toward him. Slowly, the way a person turns when they already know everything you are thinking. And then the veil moved. Not from air. Not from wind. The hall was completely still. The veil shifted like something underneath it was breathing. Or smiling. Dami's hands shook. He kept the camera running. "I don't know what is happening here," he said, "but I am not turning this off." The crowd was no longer clapping. What do you think the veil is hiding? Tell me in the comments. To understand today, we must go back. Back before the wedding. Back before the fine clothes and the rented car. Back to the small, hot room where this story was born. Deji grew up in one room in the western part of the city. The walls were thin. The ceiling leaked. He shared that room with memories of a father who left and a mother who stayed but cried too much. He was not lazy. He swept compounds. He carried water. He washed cars near the junction every Saturday until his knuckles cracked. But every coin he earned fell through his hands before the week was done. One evening, his landlord came banging. Deji did not have the rent. He stood behind the door in silence, heart pounding. That same night, his mother called. Her voice was thin like dry paper. "Deji, I need medicine money. Just small." He looked at his empty wallet and said nothing. He put down the phone and walked to the window. Outside on the street, a man in a white Jeep was spraying money at a party. People screamed and danced and reached for the notes. Deji watched with still eyes. Then, he whispered to himself, "I must leave this life. Have you ever felt ashamed of being poor? Let me hear you." There was one person who knew Deji's heart better than anyone. A young man named Zina. Zina was thin and always smelled like peanuts because he sold them near the motor park. He did not have much either. But Zina had something Deji had started to lose: patience. They sat together on an empty pavement one evening. Deji talked about his plans, about big money, about shortcuts, about how tired he was. Zina listened with his head down. Then he looked up. "Deji," he said, "fast money is a snake. You carry it. You feel powerful, but it bites later." Deji's jaw tightened. He had heard this before. Wise-sounding words that paid no bills. "Zina, I am not asking for your advice," he said. "I am tired of suffering. Suffering has no medal. Suffering does not respect you when you grow old. I know, Xena said quietly, but there is a road that looks short and leads down. Deji stood up. He dusted his trousers. You keep your ground nuts, he said. I am going to find mine. He walked away from Xena that evening, away from the one voice that still told him the truth. And as he walked, a car slowed down beside him. Would you listen to your friend or chase your dream? The window rolled down. Inside sat a woman who smelled like expensive perfume and looked like she had never known a hard day. She wore big, gold earrings. Her wrapper was the color of deep wine. Her eyes were sharp, the kind that measured a person in 2 seconds. You, she said, I've been watching you. You have good energy. Deji did not know what to say. Her name was Auntie Nene. She planned events, big ones, exclusive ones. She needed sharp young men who were not afraid of work and knew how to stay quiet. Just one evening, she said. Come help at a party. I'll pay well. Deji looked at the car. He looked at her gold. He looked back at the dark road behind him. What kind of party? He asked. She smiled, wide and warm and just a little too practiced. The kind where people like you get noticed, she said. But if you want to enter this world, there is one rule. Don't ask too many questions. She handed him a card and drove away. Deji stood under the streetlight holding the card. It felt warm in his hand. He slipped it into his pocket. Something in him had already decided. Would you accept help from a stranger if you were desperate? Tell me. The party was in a house Deji had only seen from the road, the kind with a gate that opened by itself and guards who did not smile. Inside, the lights were soft and golden. Everyone moved slowly and spoke quietly, as if noise was something only poor people made. Women laughed without opening their mouths too wide. Men shook hands without looking each other in the eyes. Deji tried to carry himself well, but his shoes were too loud on the marble floor. Auntie Nin appeared beside him like smoke. Walk slower, she whispered, and stopped looking at the ceiling. He obeyed. As the night went on, he began to understand something schools never teach. The rich do not relax. They watch. Every smile was a camera. Every kind word was a calculation. Then Auntie Nene leaned close. There is a man here asking about you, she said. Deji's heart beat fast. Asking what? Asking who the hungry young man near the kitchen door is. She straightened his collar. He wants to meet you. Don't be nervous, but don't be foolish. She walked away. From across the room, a heavy man in a silver agbada raised his glass slowly toward Deji. Do you think the rich world is real, or just acting? His name was Chief Bamidele. He did not shake hands the way normal men did. He held your hand for a moment longer, like he was reading your palm through your skin. He sat Deji beside him in a private room off the main hall. A young girl brought drinks. The chief waved her away. I hear you are a hard worker, Chief said. Yes, sir, Deji replied. Hard work is good, Chief said. But hard work alone? He clicked his tongue. Hard work alone keeps you sweeping other men's floors until you are 60. Deji said nothing. I like you, the chief continued. I want to support you. Cash, contacts, a business to put your name on. All I ask is simple. That you listen when I speak, move when I say move, and stay quiet when the world asks questions. He leaned back and looked at Deji with calm eyes. You will never be poor again, he said slowly. If you obey. The room felt smaller suddenly. The air felt thick. Deji looked at the drink in his hand. Cold. Expensive. The kind he had never tasted before. He raised it to his lips. Is obedience a fair price for success? I want to know your thoughts. 3 days later, a woman in a gray suit brought papers to Deji's door. She said nothing. She placed the papers on his table, gave him a pen, and stood by the window. Deji read the first page. The words were long and tangled. Legal language that twisted back on itself like a river with no direction. He picked up his phone to call Zina. Then put it down. He heard Auntie Nene's voice in his memory. Don't ask too many questions. He turned to the woman. What exactly am I signing? An agreement of partnership, she said. Standard. Nothing unusual. But I don't understand half of Mr. Deji, she interrupted softly. The chief is a busy man. This is how the world works. People who wait to understand everything end up understanding nothing. Deji looked at the pen. He looked at the blank signature line. He signed. The pen scratched across the page. And at that exact moment, a small cut opened on his finger. Not deep, not painful, but real. A thin line of blood appeared, as if the paper itself had taken something. He looked at his hand. The woman was already folding the papers. She left without saying goodbye. Would you sign a deal you don't understand? For money? The next week, Deji moved. New apartment. Clean walls. Tiled floor. A balcony with a view. New clothes arrived in bags. A driver picked him up twice that week. He took photos. He posted them. He felt, for the first time in his life, like he had arrived somewhere. But one afternoon, he came home earlier than expected and found men in the compound loading boxes into a van. What is happening? He asked. One man, not looking up, said, The apartment rental ends at 4. We are packing the furniture. Deji stood still. Rental? This is not. It's the shoot furniture, Oga, the man said plainly. Auntie Nene booked it for the week. Deji walked inside slowly. He looked at the walls, the bed, the curtains, all rented, all temporary, all a stage. That evening, he confronted Auntie Nene. She did not blink. She poured him a drink and smiled. Deji, she said, people don't buy truth. They buy what looks expensive. She sat down. Your online photos brought you 3 new contacts today. Real ones, real money. Does it matter what the bedroom actually belongs to? Deji looked at the drink. He did not answer, but he drank it. Is fake success still success? Tell me what you think. The followers came first, then the comments, then the messages. Brother, how did you do it? Share your secret. This guy left poverty behind. Real inspiration. Deji from nothing to something. God is faithful. He read everyone. He replied to some. He screenshotted the best and sent them to himself. The neighbors who once pretended not to see him now crossed the street to greet him. The landlord who banged on his door now called him my son. A girl who had rejected him 2 years ago sent a message asking how he was doing. It tasted sweet, sweeter than anything he had eaten in that small, hot room. But then, Zina called. He had seen the posts. He called without a greeting. Deji, where is this money coming from? Deji leaned back in his chair. Business, Zina. I told you I was going to move. What business? Last month you had nothing. Things changed. That is how life works. Deji, I have to go, Deji said. I have a meeting. He ended the call. He looked at his screen again. The numbers still climbing. The comments still flowing. He smiled. Outside the window, somewhere far away, Zina stared at his phone in silence. Do you think social media makes people lie more? Comment below. The chief called on a Tuesday. His voice on the phone was different from the man in the silver agbada. Quieter, more direct. There are packages, he said. You will receive them. You will hold them for 1 day. Then someone will come to take them. You will not open them. You will not speak about them. What is inside? Deji asked. That is not your question to ask. But Chief, Deji, the voice went lower. This is the price of entry. Everybody pays something. This is yours. Auntie Nene was in the room when the first package arrived. A sealed box, heavy, wrapped in brown paper. She placed it under the kitchen counter without asking permission. That night, after she left, Deji sat looking at the box. He told himself not to open it. He opened it. Inside, bundles of sealed cash. And beneath them, wrapped in black cloth, Something he did not recognize. Strange objects, small, old-looking. The kind of thing that should not be in a kitchen or anywhere near a person's home. He closed the box. His hands shook. He put it back exactly as he found it. He did not sleep that night. If you saw something dirty in your new job, would you run? Zena came to find him. He stood at Deji's door one Saturday morning, still smelling like peanuts, still wearing his old shoes. He had the look of a man who had made up his mind to say something hard. "You're changing," Zena said. "I'm growing," Deji replied. "That is not the same thing." Zena stepped closer. "I see your eyes, Deji. Something is wrong in there. You look like a man who swallowed something that doesn't agree with him." Deji laughed. "You are always looking for problems, and you are always walking toward them." Zena's voice broke slightly. "Please, leave this life now. Whatever they are paying you, it costs more than money." Deji looked at his friend. For one moment. Just one. He felt the old pull, the memory of sitting together on that pavement, the smell of peanuts and honest air. Then he thought of the empty room, the cracked walls, the rent he could not pay. "Suffering has no award, Zena," he said softly. Zena looked at him for a long time. His eyes filled, not with anger, but with grief. Then he turned and walked away. Deji watched until he disappeared around the corner. He did not call him back. Was Zena right, or was he jealous? It was a Thursday night, and the city was dark. Deji sat in the back of a car he did not know, holding a package he did not understand, driving to an address he had never been to. The driver did not speak. The streets grew narrower. The lights grew fewer. They stopped at a gate. A man came out. Deji handed over the package without looking up. Then he heard shouting. Then glass breaking. Then running feet. He did not look. He turned and ran. Through narrow back streets, between walls, across a ditch. His shoes slapped the wet ground. His heart punched against his ribs. He ran until the sounds faded. He reached his apartment breathing like a man pulled from deep water. He locked the door. He leaned against the wall. When his breathing slowed, he took off his shirt and stopped. On his chest, just below his collarbone, was a mark, small, round, like a burn from something hot. But he had touched nothing. He had burned nothing. He pressed his finger against it. It did not hurt. It did not bleed. It simply remained dark and quiet, like a signature. If you survived that, would you quit immediately? Auntie Nene came the next morning before Deji had even eaten. She was calm. She sat down, crossed her legs, and placed her phone on the table face up. On the screen were documents, pages of the agreement Deji had signed, and beside them, audio recordings, short clips, his voice, Chief's voice. "You cannot leave," she said. The words were not loud. They did not need to be. "Auntie Nene, let me finish." She picked up the phone. "If you try to leave, if you run, if you talk to anybody, these go out. Blogs, newspapers, police contacts, everything." She put the phone back down. "You will not just be poor again, Deji. You will be destroyed." Deji sat very still. This was not the warm woman who had straightened his collar at the party. This was the real one, the one behind the wine-colored wrapper and big gold earrings. "I just want out," he said. "Out?" She smiled, but the smile was cold as fish water. "You signed, you ate, you spent, you wore." She stood. "You belong to this now." She picked up her bag and walked to the door. "Don't do anything foolish," she said, without turning. "Be ready. The chief needs you tomorrow. Have you ever seen someone get trapped by help?" The chief called him to a dinner. Just the two of them. No music, no crowd. A private restaurant with no name on the door. Halfway through the meal, the chief put down his fork and looked at Deji with the kind of eyes a man uses when he is about to say something he has been planning for a long time. "You need to marry," he said. Deji looked up. "To complete the blessing," Chief continued. "The way our fathers understood power, it must be locked, tied to a home, sealed." He paused. "Your star is open. Any wind can blow it out. A wife closes the circle. I am not ready for—" "I did not say fall in love," Chief said. He reached into his jacket and slid a photograph across the table. "Your bride is already chosen." Deji looked at the photo. A woman in white, face fully covered with a thick veil. You could see nothing, not her nose, not her chin, not even the shape of her smile. "Who is she?" Deji asked. Someone who will complete what you have started, the chief said. He picked up his fork again as if the matter was settled, as if Deji had already said yes. Would you marry a stranger for wealth? That night, Deji told Auntie Nene he wanted out. He said it quietly. No shouting, no dramatics, just a man who was tired telling the truth. She laughed, not a cruel laugh. The kind a person laughs when they hear something so far from possible it almost sounds funny. Deji, she said. Where will you go? Back to the one room? Back to washing cars? She walked a slow circle around him. The internet already knows your name. If you disappear now, they will ask questions. And questions are dangerous. Deji said nothing. The chief is patient, she added. But his patience has a shape. And you are about to step outside it. She left. Deji sat in the apartment and stared at the wall. Outside, the city moved and laughed and went about its evening. Inside, he sat in silence. Then, past midnight, when the neighborhood had gone quiet, he heard it. His name. Soft. Coming from no direction he could place. Not outside, not inside. Just his name. Spoken the way a thing speaks when it believes it owns you. Deji. He jumped up and spun around. The room was empty. He did not sleep. Do you believe fear can follow a person like a shadow? Baba Soro lived outside the city, beyond the last bus stop, down a path that did not appear on any map. Deji found him through a man who sold bitter Deji near the market. No recommendation, just a whisper and a direction. The hut was small. Baba Soro was old. Not weak old, but deep old. Like a tree that has outlived things that looked stronger. He sat on a low stool with a calabash sealed with red cloth between his feet. He did not ask Deji what he wanted. He already knew. You want protection, Baba said. You want your money to hold. You want the thing that follows you to stop. Deji said yes to all three. Baba Soro was quiet for a long time. Then, I can give you that. Power rushes in. Luck becomes yours. Fear bends around you. Then do it, Deji said. Baba held up one finger. But your nights. Once you accept this, your nights will no longer belong to you. Deji thought of the empty room, the signed papers, the whisper in the dark. What does that mean? He asked. It means what it means, Baba said. He opened the calabash. Deji leaned forward. Would you ever go to a spiritual fixer for success? The change was not loud. It came quietly, like sunlight filling a room before you notice the darkness is gone. Money moved toward Deji without effort. A deal he barely tried for confirmed itself. A man who had owed him for months paid everything without being asked. People who once disrespected him now chose their words carefully. It felt like the world had rearranged itself. But the strange things started too. Dogs barked when Deji walked past. All of them. Every time. A cat on his street ran from him 3 times before he noticed the pattern. One evening, he stood before his bathroom mirror and felt it. Clear and cold, that something on the other side was also looking. He stepped back quickly. Then one morning he woke up and found sand on his feet. Fine red sand. The kind found near riverbeds or burial grounds. He had not been outside. The door was locked. He stood in the middle of the room looking down at his feet. He swept it away. He told nobody. That evening he ate well, laughed at a phone call, and posted again online. But the sand had been real. And deep inside, below the laughter, something in him knew it. Do you think some blessings come with darkness? The praise reached its highest point in the month of October. A women's group from a church near the market invited Deji to speak at their program, How I Rose from Nothing. He sat on a plastic chair on a small stage and told a version of his story, not the full version, the safe version, the one with God and hard work and believing in yourself. They clapped after every sentence. One woman wiped her tears. The pastor shook his hand and said, "This is what our young people need to see." 3 bloggers covered the event. One wrote, Deji, the youth inspiration nobody is talking about enough. His phone buzzed for 2 days straight. He believed it for a moment. He almost believed the version of himself he had performed. Almost. Then he looked across the room and saw Auntie Nene standing near the exit. She had not been invited. She had simply appeared, the way she always did, when he forgot she existed. She watched him with steady eyes. No applause, no smile, just watching. When his eyes met hers, she mouthed 2 words slowly. He could not hear them, but he read her lips. "Tomorrow," she said, "you trend. Why do people love a success story so much? Tell me." It happened at noon on a Wednesday. A blog post, then another, then a news page, then 4 more. Documents, the signed papers. Audio, Chief's voice, Deji's voice, photos of the packages, descriptions of deliveries, dates, addresses, amounts. Everything Auntie Nene had shown him on her phone that morning in his apartment. All of it. Released. The same people who had clapped in the church sent angry messages. The women's group deleted their post about him. The pastor did not answer his calls. He was lying all along. This is what fake success looks like. Lock him up. Deji sat with his phone face down on the table. He tried calling the chief. The number did not ring. He tried again. Nothing. He went to the address he knew. The gate was locked. The guard had changed. Chief Bamadel had vanished. Deji had been used, lifted, and dropped from a height high enough to break bones. He sat alone in his apartment while the internet took turns kicking him. Then his phone buzzed. One voice note. Auntie Nene's voice. Calm, almost gentle. "You think you won something once? You think this is over?" She paused. "The veil, Deji. The veil is for you." Did Auntie Nene expose him to save people? Or for money? Deji returned to Babasoro. He did not go slowly this time. He took a taxi as far as it would go and walked the rest. Fast, jaw tight, eyes forward. Babasoro was sitting in the same spot. Same stool. Same posture. Like he had not moved since the last visit. Like he had been waiting. "She destroyed me," Deji said without greeting. "Sit," Baba said. "I want power to ruin her. The way she ruined me." Babasoro was quiet. He turned the calabash over in his hands. "Revenge is expensive," he said. "I have nothing left to save," Deji replied. "So charge me." Baba looked at him. A long look that seemed to pass through Deji and keep going. Then he reached into a leather pouch hanging at his side. He brought out a ring. Dark metal. Heavy. Old in a way that had nothing to do with time. "Whatever you point at will fall," Baba said. He held the ring between 2 fingers. "But whatever you send out, something will follow it back." "I don't care," Deji said. He took the ring. He put it on. It fit perfectly, as if it had been made for his hand, as if it had been waiting. Is revenge ever truly justified? Within 2 weeks, Auntie Nene's world fell apart, not loudly, piece by piece. The way a wall cracks from inside before anyone sees it outside. A former partner released documents about her, money taken from the wrong people. Then, a woman she had used years before spoke to a reporter. The same blogs that once praised her name printed new headlines. Worse ones. Her sponsors removed her. Her phone went quiet. People she had helped for years stopped answering. The fall was complete and public. Deji watched from his apartment. He felt something cold and flat. Not joy. Just the feeling of a debt being paid. Then his phone buzzed. Her number. One last voice note. Her voice was broken at the edges like old cloth pulled too hard. "You think you won?" she said. "You have no idea what you married, Deji. The veil is not for her. It was never for her." She paused. He could hear her breathing, thin and uneven. "It is for you. You are the one who is covered now." The note ended. Deji sat with the phone in his hand. The room around him was very quiet. Do you think Auntie Nene deserved what happened to her? The wedding hall was bright and full, and we are back now, back to where the story began, because you need to understand what Deji did not understand when he stood at that altar. Baba Soro arrived quietly. He came through a side door, wearing plain clothes. He sat near the back. He did not eat. He did not clap. When the music paused, he moved to Deji's side. "Do not remove the veil yourself," he whispered. Deji frowned. "What? This is my wedding." "Listen," Baba's voice was barely air. "What is under that veil is not a woman. It is a seal. Something is being held inside it. If you remove it, you release what is contained. Deji looked at the bride. Still. Tall. White lace, so thick it looked like a wall. Then who is she? Deji asked. Babasoro looked at him with eyes full of things he would not say out loud. She is the agreement, he said. She is everything you signed, everything you sealed, everything you promised, given a body. She is the debt, and she has come to collect. The bride turned toward Deji, and from behind the veil she whispered, Husband, you promised me your nights. If you heard that whisper, would you run even in front of everyone? Deji's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The hall was still busy. People were still talking, still adjusting their clothes, still waiting for the ceremony to continue. Nobody else had heard the whisper. Nobody saw the way the veil trembled from the inside. Babasoro stepped back and disappeared into the crowd. Deji stood alone with the bride. The pastor stepped forward. Shall we continue? Deji could not answer. The bride turned her covered face upward, as if looking at something above the ceiling. Then slowly, on its own, the bottom of the veil lifted. Just slightly, just enough. Deji looked. What he saw beneath the lace was a face, but not a stranger's face. It was his own jaw, his nose, his eyes, but older, broken, the skin gray and pulled tight. The eyes open but empty, like a version of Deji that had lived a long time underground. It smiled at him with his own smile. Chief Bamidele had been a middleman. Babasoro had only opened a door, but the real contract, written in sand on his feet, sealed in the mark on his chest, that contract was standing beside him now, wearing his face. What does it mean when the bride looks like him?
And so, my friend, we arrive at the end. Though some ends are only new beginnings with darker faces. Deji had 3 choices before him in that hall. He could keep everything, the fame, the money, the revenge, the ring, and become something the living could see but no longer truly reach. Alive in daylight, owned at night. He could stay silent and let the contract complete itself and become what that grey face promised. Or he could let it all go. Deji looked at the ring on his finger. He pulled it off slowly and placed it on the floor. He looked at the crowd. The people who had praised him, mocked him, and turned on him. I cannot do this, he said. I am sorry. He walked out of the hall. Behind him, the veil fell to the floor. Empty. Just white cloth, no bride, no body, no face, only the ring lying on the tile. Before the last guest had turned to look, a young man near the door bent down and picked it up. He slipped it into his pocket and looked around. Nobody had noticed. Is the price ever worth it? And would you have chosen freedom or wealth?
Share this story with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.